You know who it is. It is me, Rashad, OG, Antonio, man. We
Yeah.
are the Calrissian kids upon further review. And we said, shoot, oh, that's such an awesome shirt. You know what I'm saying? That's a good one, yo. I wasn't expecting that. And that's not us, you know what I'm saying? So just to make sure that's clear. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, we figured we go live real quick because we just want to talk about just some three things really. One, want to talk about just all the scuttlebutt about last week's episode. Just some of the things people talking about online because it's been a lot of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, just want to go over some of our hot takes for the last three episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what I want to talk about today because there's one particular thing I really want to have. I know it's not gonna happen, but I really want to talk about why I want it to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because it just would, for me, it would be the most ballsy thing that Disney Star Wars could do. But yeah.
Murder.
Yeah. More murder. Oh man. So yeah. What have you been hearing after the show online, and what you think like one of the most like one of the smartest things you heard and the most outlandish things that you've heard?
I guess one of the smartest things I've heard has been, that most of us was possibly wrong thinking that Anakin was the son. One of the smartest things I've heard basically is that maybe that wasn't Anakin, but that was Ahsoka's representation of Anakin within her.
Yeah, I mean, for me, at first, like when I first looking at it, you would think that because
Uh-huh.
it's really the whole point is okay. The whole point of the quote unquote lesson is for Ahsoka not to end up like Anakin. For real. Like we don't want to repeat the
Hmm.
same thing because Anakin, of course, has Vader in him, and he alludes to that. He said everything that's in you is in me. And she's like, yo, but you Vader.
Hmm.
Man. Like I don't want to be Vader. And
Hmm.
I feel like that could be where I'm going. Because the first couple of episodes, and I knew they were writing her like this on purpose. She was very aloof
Hmm.
and sort of despondent
Hmm.
to what was going on, and she was trying to press her way to to find Ezra, but really it was I'm not trying to find Ezra. I'm really trying to stop Thrawn.
She was singularly one-minded, if that makes sense.
No,
If she just had one thing on her mind that she wanted. That's it. And that was Thrawn. If Ezra happens to be found in that time period, that's a plus. But her main
yeah,
thing was Thrawn. And that was evident in season 2 of The Mandalorian when we first got introduced to Morgan Elsbeth. When after she defeated her, first thing she says, "Where's your master? Where is Thrawn?"
yeah.
It wasn't no, "Where's your master? Where's Thrawn?" Was Ezra happen to be there too? No, it was just, "Where's Thrawn?"
Yo, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that make a lot of sense because
Yeah,
she was not talking about no daggone Ezra.
at all.
Yeah,
Sabine
and
is the only. Sabine is like the only one that's like hell bent on finding, on Ezra. Even Hera's to the point like he might be dead. Sabine, it's whatever happened. But yeah, Sabine's the only one that's like Ezra, and Ahsoka's like Thrawn. That's the most important thing, finding Thrawn.
yeah, because definitely because Ahsoka really was like you said was very hell bent on finding Thrawn, and not even that, but she's not really doesn't have a whole lot of care or enough empathy for Sabine, and it's really just like I said before, the whole lesson was not she's trying to tell her like, yo, you're not me. There's parts of me that are in you, but there's more to you than this. And oh yeah, the whole like live and not die was don't even when it comes to finding Thrawn and finding
Mhm.
Ezra. That's like a live and die thing too, because
Mhm.
don't die trying to find Thrawn. You need to live to find Ezra.
Mhm.
So that whole parallel of like light and dark, and life and death, and like good and bad is all within Ahsoka. Since even like looking at the flashback, the whole point was, look, even though you're in all these things, I put you in these positions, but you're more than just a warrior. Even though
Mhm.
I taught you to be a warrior, and I'm kind of glad about it because you ain't no punk, you know what I'm saying? But like,
Right.
I succeeded on that, but I also need you to know that I failed you when it came to the other things, and that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And that was like for me, like upon like second and third reviews, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really what it was.
And also letting her be able to let go, like, hey, it's not your fault.
Yeah,
It's not your fault. It's kind of to take, a term from the Jedi. It was the will of the force for all this to happen. It's not your don't yourself stop blaming yourself for what happened to me, what happened to Padme. Stop blaming yourself. Stop blaming yourself for, just for everything. Everything that went wrong was not your fault. And that goes back to also in the flashback scene, because something that I didn't realize till later on was that first flashback scene that was like episode 19 of Clone Wars, when that was the Ryloth, when they went to Ryloth. And on that episode, she was in charge and she lost a lot of clone troopers, and she lost like a ship and everything. And you saw that she was very, like, remorseful. That's when she put her hand on that one clone trooper, and that clone trooper like held her hand, was like, yo, it's all good, type thing. Because she's held a lot of guilt, and that's been ever since Clone Wars up until now. And Clone Wars started, she was like, what, 14, 13, 14 or whatever, and
yeah,
now she's 48. That's like damn near almost 30 years, 30 plus years of like trauma that she has held. And this episode, like you said, was about, hey, you need to live for today. You need to live to what I'm saying, do this, and stop dwelling on this, because you, like you said, a part of me isn't part of you, and you could end up like me. Another thing people need, some people that don't know, hardcore fans like us, we know Anakin Skywalker and Vader are basically two separate entities in one body. A lot of people like, I don't. What do you mean by it's the same person but two different entities? Whenever Vader talked about Anakin, it was like, I destroyed Anakin Skywalker. He was weak. Saying, he talked about Anakin in the third person, and you can tell, like, even in Revenge of the Sith, when after, he was sent to Mustafar to take out the rest of the separatists, and he had already did the siege on the Jedi temple. When he was taking out the separatists and everything, you saw him as Vader, the yellow and red eyes. But then after everything was done, he was looking out over the lava lake. You saw him crying, and that was Anakin. That was, his eyes were back normal to Anakin. That was him as Anakin realizing, like, yo, what have I done? Like, I hope this is worth it, everything I'm doing. So yeah,
yeah.
so and that's the one thing he doesn't want her to go through that, because that is his Padawan.
Going back to Ahsoka and that whole montage of like the wars, even when they went to um Mandalore and they
Hmm.
were fighting, like the thing that I noticed was it still was young Ahsoka. You gotta
Hmm.
remember, like when that happened, she's like maybe like 18, 19
18, like I
when
think they
she
say 18,
leaves the
17.
yeah
Yeah. Uh-huh.
when she leaves the order. So, and of course, you guys don't know, like she leaves the order, has this like quote unquote walkabout, and she ends up helping the Mandalorians take over Mandalore from Maul. Hence why you see the
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 Maul Order.
Mandalorians with the Maul looking,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying,
Helmet.
helmets.
Yeah.
So her being still a kid, even though she's a better kid, a better warrior,
Hmm.
she's still stuck in that arrested development where she hasn't really moved past being that 12, 13-year-old kid who has, you know what I'm saying, that initial trauma that happened to her. And
Mhm.
now, instead of embracing it and actually accepting what happened, accepting what she didn't have control of, and then really moving on from that, what she ended up doing, separating. She was basically a nomad. Even when she was helping, she was just a fulcrum. Like she wasn't like a main member. She was always on the outskirts, kind of doing
Mhm.
helping how she wanted to help. And
In the
then
shadows, kind of like.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then even now, it's like I don't. I want to. I kind of want to do this thing with Sabine, but I'm gonna push Sabine away because I don't want to mess up. And Sabine's looking like I suck at this. When
Mhm.
in all actuality, Ahsoka's like, I don't really know how to tell you that I feel inadequate to actually do this.
Right.
And that's like, the lesson of it all because Anakin didn't get to complete her training. And the last thing he didn't get to complete to her was essentially the lesson that she was taught in the last
Yeah.
episode. So,
Yeah. Because she, for all intents and purposes, if the she passed like all the Jedi trials that's supposed to happen.
oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
one
definitely.
only thing she didn't do was the last one was like the trial of self. That was the only one that she didn't pass. And if you want to be realistic, that's the one Anakin didn't pass before they hurry up and made him a general, a Jedi. So he didn't even really pass that either as well. But she finally did. She finally did pass that. You had said earlier one of the most I guess ridiculous things I heard on the thing. Here we go. People that were like, "Oh my god, there is no way Ahsoka can defeat Anakin Skywalker in a duel. There is no way." People, let me explain something to you. Yes, we know that. But here's the thing. He wasn't trying to actually like kill her and defeat her. He was basically testing her to see how far she would go. If she was going to go to that next level to where she was a Sith. It's it goes back to Return of the Jedi. When Luke tapped into the dark side to defeat Vader
Do
and
it.
he looked
Do it.
down and he looked down and he saw Vader's hand he cut off, and then he looked at his robotic mechanical hand and was like,
Tag
"Oh
nabbit.
my god,
I
oh
done did
my
the
god,
same thing.
I'm about to become him." And that's when he snapped out of it and was like, "Nah, bro, I ain't doing it." That's exactly what happened. It was a test, and he knew it. And also too, with the whole comment when they first started doing the duel in the beginning, "I will not fight you." That was also what Luke Skywalker said to him in Return of the Jedi when Vader, he says, "I will not fight you, father," and stuff. So yes, in actuality, if they were actually dueling, like fighting, like when Anakin and Obi-Wan were fighting, he would have mopped the floor with probably Ahsoka, but he wasn't. It was a test, and that's when you saw the scene when she got the Sith eyes when she disarmed him, and he sat there and was just looking at her, and then she kind of like, and she basically saw what she was about to become if she would have kept going down the path she was going. So yeah,
Yeah, and it said what? I choose to what? Live.
I choose to live.
Like so that's really what the episode was about. And it was beautifully done and all that. And I appreciate it. The
Yeah.
only thing like for me that was sort of like after I watched a few times and like really soaks it in, it's like, man, like for me, people cannot defend not setting this up. Oh, Tony, this is what upsets me about the show.
Okay.
And it's not even like about the show. It's just about how storytelling is in the year of our Lord 2023. And it is the overuse of having the big reveal. That's what was like, and I couldn't really pinpoint it early on. But when
Hmm.
episode 5 came out, I said, "Oh, they did all this so it could be a reveal." One, the reveal that Jason was force sensitive.
Hmm.
Two, the reveal that Jason had a father that was a Jedi.
Hmm.
Three, the reveal that Anakin and Ahsoka were like, trainer and trainee. Like
Mhm.
for the reveal that even that there is a whole, I mean, another galaxy somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it's like some of those things. Like I feel, especially when it comes to some of the story beats that people already know.
Mhm.
Why are we trying to wait for this big reveal? You know what I'm saying? Like
You
for
know what?
me, like
You know what's crazy? It's funny they doing this, but when the past season of Mandalorian came out, they ain't waiting to do no reveals. Remember, they were dropping stuff the second episode. We was like,
yeah,
oh, we doing this all. You know, what I'm saying we
yo,
doing
it
this
was like
already. Yeah, so it's okay. But I guess they're doing this for the people who aren't who are Star Wars fans, but they aren't into. They didn't watch none of the animated series. They didn't watch any of that, whatever like that.
but that's my argument against that
Yeah.
because if they actually just just would have said some of those things earlier
Hmm.
or explained it earlier, episode 5 to me would have been so much more impactful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
things would have made more sense. Like instead of having this, interaction between Huyang and Carson Teva, we
Hmm.
already knew Jason was going to do the thing. If
Hmm.
if there would have been some sort of conversation about who her master was, you know what I'm saying? You come from a lot of unorthodox masters. Like we
Hmm.
would have, for me, and also for the people who don't watch the animated stuff. That's where I feel like, because even when I'm looking on our stuff, it's a lot of people that say like, "Yo, like I don't like." When they went to the River Between Worlds, somebody said two funny questions.
What was
They
that?
said they said where and why. And
Right.
like and I couldn't be upset because it was a really honest question to have. I'm like
Yeah.
and I explained it, but I didn't like it, they just it was really more of
Yeah.
like a trolling question, but like it made sense because they
There's
don't
a lot of people that don't know. And here's the
people
thing.
don't know.
And for y'all for y'all that do watch us and follow us and everything, just let you, we aren't snobs about it. If you realize, what do you mean you don't know? We like, hey, we get it. There's some people who don't
Like
watch.
Tony, I have been the voice of the people who, if you haven't noticed, I've been the voice of the people who don't
Yeah.
watch the anime the
Yeah.
entire time.
Hmm.
I'm trying to be like fair about this because
Yeah.
it would be stupid for me to be like, oh man, I gotta watch the animated. Like we even
Hmm.
try to say, hey, watch the animated stuff, so you can be abreast of what's going on at
Shout
this
out to
point.
our homeboy from college, Tex, Big Tex. He texted me.
Thanks.
He texted me the other day and was like, "Yo, man, this Ahsoka series is really good. I've never seen Star Wars before." He says, "I've never seen nothing Star Wars. I'm really liking this." He says, "Me and my son." He says, "Me and my son have been watching this, and he's like really into it." And he was just like, "Yo, how should I start this?" And I basically was like, "All right, bet, cool. Start it like this." And I set them on the path. I said, "Start with episode 4, 5, 6." I said, then go back to the prequels, and then I said you come back to the things. I said you can skip Solo, the movie Solo. I said, but if you want to see if you want to see a decent, I said if you want to see a decent non, I guess, like Star Wars movie, I said Rogue One definitely you need to see. And I said, I don't know if you have the time for it, but your son, I said put him on to the Clone Wars series and the Rebels. And I said those would be great. He was like, man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But he was like, yo, he says, we are really loving this series. And this is a guy who said he's never Texas, like, I've never seen Star Wars before in his life. And Texas, our age, he's 42 years old. He said he's never seen Star Wars. And the fact that he said that and I can appreciate that. And he's just like, I'm enjoying what we're seeing. And like I said, that's been my one thing that I have been saying about Star Wars since we've started doing this. People have been complaining. Some people complain, piss, moan, or whatever. But listen, be happy we have this. It is like been any other time, people our generation, we had to wait 20 years, 30 years or so before we got the prequels, and then had to wait like another 10 or 15 years before we got you know,
Like a
the
sequel trilogy.
the sequel trilogy and stuff, man. And man, just be happy we are able to get this. Hey, they not gonna knock it out the park every time. But hey, we got content that we want, and now we got even more stuff that's get ready to come up on the
Yeah,
on
and
the
and
screen.
and I think for me, like a lot of time, because people, okay, a little behind the curtain stuff. People
Mhm.
don't really understand how social media works.
Mm,
So when I cut up a clip, this clip is this minuscule part of a huge conversation that we're having.
yeah,
So when I cut that 7 seconds or that 12 seconds up,
yeah.
and it reacts to that, that's the whole point for you to react to the clip.
Hmm.
Hopefully, for you to come and actually watch the whole podcast, so you
Yes.
can get the context of what we're saying. In
Just,
case you
just to
did
let you
not
guys know,
know,
me and him were both media majors, so this is what you call a tease, a teaser.
yes,
This is what
yes,
you call
you
that,
can call it, a tease, you can call it clickbait, you can
Yeah,
call it whatever you want. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
that's
like that's
exactly
the
what it
whole
is.
point of that. Like I want y'all to have a conversation, because if okay, and this is just another storytelling thing. If a story has no conflict, then there's no story. So we post stuff that does not have any sort of conflict in it, anything that sparks some emotion out of people, then nobody's gonna actually interact with it. So
Mhm.
that's just something I just want to let y'all know. If you
Yeah,
actually 21 minutes into this, thank you. But
yeah,
also that's just the game, regardless of what content you consume.
yeah,
There is a hook, there is the promise of the hook, and then there is the hook being resolved, and you
yeah.
actually, I'm sorry, the payoff.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Next,
Speaking of payoff,
what what do you want to see? What's your hot take for these next 3 episodes?
I guess my hot take is what I saw online, and I sent that to you the other day, and you was like, "Uh," or
What was
whatever.
that again?
The one where I sent you, I had been thinking this, and then I saw this and was like, I am not alone. So I sent it to you. And that was the it was a video of, it was like everybody thinking this guy is the main villain, and it's Thrawn, and it's like Thrawn. There was like, when actuality, it's probably
Oh,
this mother, and it's Ezra. And you see Ezra like dark side. Now let me get this clear too. There's a base out there that's going to be like, well, Ezra didn't really tamper into the dark side in a long time. Granted, I get that or whatever, he didn't, but remember, he was real cozy with that holocron. He said that he learned a whole lot from that holocron that he never learned from Kanan Jarrus. And then too, hey, he's been shifted off into another galaxy or whatever with this dude Thrawn, and he could be angry that he can't get back to his friends and this and that. He saved the day and everything, but you know what I'm saying? Yoda said it best. Fear leads to hate, hate leads to anger, anger leads to the dark side. So he could be upset about this, and it could be a thing where he actually is like a Sith Lord. That thing. I, I would like. It's a stretch. Trust me. That is a Mister Fantastic flex
again, I
Armstrong
mean, this is
stretch.
just the hot take section. So be
But
outlandish.
I
That's the
would,
whole
I
point.
would, I would definitely, if they Disney went that route, I think that would be great, and it throws a curveball, and then you can leave it at that to go into whatever's going to be next. That's going to eventually end up in this movie connecting the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and
That
Ahsoka
would
all together.
be, like now having Ezra be a threat the entire rest of the time would be amazing. But the only thing that would piss me off is that they were trying to redeem him at the end, and I
Of course,
like,
of course. I mean,
you know what I'm saying.
of
and I feel like I feel like Thanos, no resurrection this time.
yeah, I mean, just think about this though, right? Think about it. Just picture this, man. You have, you know, they finally get to where they are, and Thrawn is there, and they're like hell bent on trying to, what I'm saying, trying to fight Thrawn and everything. And then next thing you know, Ezra just comes out, Sith eyes, and like Sabine just freaks out, like, no, this ain't you, type
Red
thing.
lightsaber.
Red
Whoa.
lightsaber, right? Ahsoka sitting there like, oh snap, and next thing you know, it's just like boom. It goes. It just happens that way. I mean, and the fact that Sabine would have to, of course, she would probably try to be like, "Come on, Ezra, no, this and that, blah 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 blah, whatever." And Ezra's like, "Y'all ain't never try to come find me. Did y'all ever? Did y'all really care? Y'all never tried to come find me." Would-
So then you got Ezra with like abandonment issues. See how you remember he already lost his real family, then he lost his second family.
Yeah.
Yo,
I had thought about
that
all of
could
this. I said that would be
work.
great if that happened, but
That
I
could
doubt it will.
oh, that could work. All right, so I said this before on the earlier podcast. So this is my hope. Okay, so I hope
Bang,
that
bang, 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 bang.
hope Ahsoka and them get there and they realize that it's only Thrawn and ain't no Ezra. That for some reason Ezra's dead. Ezra died. I don't care if he died on the way there. I don't care if he slipped up and Thrawn got him. I don't care if everybody on that ship, because there's some people on that ship on them ships,
Mm-hmm.
ganged up and just murked him.
Mm-hmm.
Or when he was there, he died. I don't care if he died of a lonely heart. You know what I'm saying? Like Ezra, if Ezra is dead, the ramifications of his death solely affect the character that, I mean, to be honest, the first 3.5 episodes we're trying to like prop up, and that's Sabine. So that makes Sabine's journey even worse because you know what Sabine doesn't have? A family either. So now she's out here trying to figure out who and where she's going to really call home. And now we have Ahsoka, who has figured out that now she's on Gandalf the White and figured out her new path, having to then reel Sabine from the imminent dark side threat that she is going to be because she literally has nothing. And seeing how the way the story is going, it's going to take Ahsoka a little while to kind of explain herself to Sabine.
Mhm.
So,
God dang. Oh, that's making me think of a whole lot of things, man.
you feel what I'm saying?
Because
So now you have Ahsoka trying to be something that she never was.
Ooh.
Sabine is like at the point of return, and Thrawn is just laughing because he didn't even have to think about this. It just happened. You know
Mm-mm.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
like, no
Because
thought
we
about it.
gotta
Like
remember
I just did it. You know?
he's a strategic genius.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That just made me think about something. She could be the one that turns completely to the dark side. Because if that situation happens, she loses Ezra, her brother slash love interest, whatever he is to her. She can blame Ahsoka for two things. For number one, for not finishing the job and trying to find him like they were supposed to do at the end of the cartoon series, and then whatever, and then possibly now allowing her to go back to Mandalore to help her family when the Night of a Thousand Tears happened because her family is gone. Because
What I'm saying.
yo man, yeah, it is so many different ways, and this is where I glow and I say, hey, I leave this in Dave Filoni's hand, and I have faith in Dave Filoni to do what can be done. Because one thing I can say, this past episode was possibly the most Star Wars episode that we've had, like traditional Star Wars, um, like something in cinema that we've had in a long time, man. So yeah,
Oh yeah, it was like it was heavy on the old school vibes. Like there's no
yeah,
denying it.
yeah.
Real
So
heavy on
I,
the old school vibes.
I just still want to say I still laugh every time I go back and watch episode where when when Vader kicked her out of the vision back into the world between worlds.
I said, man, you laughing,
He
Victor.
punted her.
No, that joke was funny, yo. Like he was just like so irritated with her. And again, going back to the whole point of I'm saying like she was still that little girl, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "How you acting this young when you old in the face now, Ahsoka?" You know what I'm saying? Like that's how he was feeling. Like, look, like fam, like you look really old out here. You know what I'm saying? And like
I was like, you
you
kind of
still
older.
thinking that like this 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl that I first met. So again, that
Yeah.
whole thing with that is just it just makes sense to me how they would how they play that, and I give them a lot of respect for doing that, even though I don't agree with the whole everything having to be a reveal. But other than that, man, like it's no real complaints from me, even though the way I've been cutting stuff up, they look like complaints. They're really not
Uh-huh.
complaints. Y'all just getting
Yeah.
tricked. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
y'all just so gullible to fall for it every time. You know what I'm saying? And also that's what the algorithm wants. But
Yeah.
that's another story for another day. But yeah, man, like if Ezra, like either, like I like R2 theories. Like they're like I'm just they're both top tier to me. You know what I'm saying? Like so if Ezra does live,
Yeah, man.
I'm cool with it as long as he's dark side, or if Ezra dies. Like either way, if we get those two things, we win it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Hey, we read it, regardless, man. Shoot. And like I said, it's all and then too, this I can honestly say now, you realize after the previous episode how Ahsoka was a reluctant master, how she became a reluctant, master because she's like, I'm no Jedi, but I'm
And
gonna
just
try
like
to do it.
yeah, I
But
had
it
to tell
and then
somebody.
and then once again, it goes back into the second season of The Mandalorian when when Din was like, "Hey, you gonna take?" When she met, like, "Hey," she was like, I can't train you. And you were sitting there like you were sitting when you saw you was like, why can't you train him? Like, or this and that. He was like, I can't train him. Like, and like she never really said, but now you see why, because she had issues with it when she was trying to train Sabine.
And even, okay. So even with that context now, right? It's like she was trying to be as nice as possible
Mm-hmm.
to to um to Den because she knew how he felt about Grogu. Like it was because he was like, all right, yo, hey man, you's a Jedi. She never really said I'm not a Jedi. Didn't tell him
Right.
that. Now
Uh,
I don't really be banging with these dudes no more. And then was like, like he really loves you a lot. Super attached to you. And
mm-hmm.
again, the attachment thing, she's like, yo, I'm not messing with this attachment. Because like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this baby to turn to the dark side. You feel what I'm saying? So like like this whole thing recontextualizes Ahsoka's relationships since then. You feel what I'm
Hell, you
saying?
saw it with Luke and daggone what in the Book of Boba Fett two which Book of Boba Fett, aka Mandalorian season 2.5, when Luke was like, "Look here, look, I'm gonna give you a choice, kid, because I know what you want. Look, this here, I know you. This here is from your friend,
You can get
the
you can get this chainmail vest.
chainmail vest, or you can use this right here. This lightsaber was one of my Jedi masters, and he offered this Yoda's lightsaber.
You get this
Yeah,
you get this little cute lightsaber.
he was like, "Here you go. This is yours right here. This is yours right here. Take." He said, "What you going?
Chainmail vest. Cute lightsaber. Which one you want, kid? He was
What you
like,
want? You want kid?" That kid said, "Give me the chainmail vest right there.
he said I am a Mandalorian, even
I
if I
am a
can't
man."
see
Right? Exactly. So it's crazy, and I'm wondering if Luke is going to ever show back up in this as well. Because
I hope not. You know what I'm saying? Like Luke better stay on. I'm guessing what is whatever that planet that he started the Jedi Temple on. He better stay there. I don't want Luke and nothing else.
why
Like
you don't want Luke, man?
I'm just tired of I love Luke, man. I'm just tired of Luke because it just to me like the more those OG characters we get, the more to me it dilutes their story that's already been told. Like fam, like the only story we need to know about Luke is him building the new Jedi Order just so we can watch it burning literal flames. That's
Okay,
the only.
let me ask you this: if they were to do, a one-off series on any of the OG characters, which ones would you want to see something about? For me, I'll go for me first. For me,
All right.
I would like to see that period of Luke trying to build. the new Jedi Order and what happened with him and Ben Solo and how Snoke came into play. I would like to see that. The other thing I want to see, I think I've told you this before, and you kind of was like, I don't know. I really want to see the rise of Palpatine and how, because we've never seen how a Sith was really trained and how, what I'm saying, like that, and how he became, for him being trained by Darth Plagueis the Wise.
We might see some of that in the Acolyte, because that's going to be like a full dark side show, basically.
There you go.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
yeah,
if I can get like one,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go.
I was just saying, but as far as OG characters, I would like to possibly see something that Luke in that period of building the new Jedi Order and the rise of Palpatine. I would definitely love to, to see that. Other than that, everybody else, we pretty much know what happened in between there. And like, I think something else that could happen, like even with, if we did like a Palpatine show on the rise, you could do like him having flashbacks telling Vader how he became who he was, and you could see like how Vader is trained, was trained afterwards, and how Palpatine treated him like trash or whatever, because people don't realize Palpatine was pissed that he lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he gave him like the most antiquated, the Vader helmet and everything we see that everyone loves, like, oh no, what's that? That is like the most antiquated stuff ever. Seriously, like he could have had so much stuff to help him move better. Vader couldn't even like move he could only bring his arms up like the here and everything. So Anakin, like, as Vader had to relearn how to lightsaber duel and stuff like that. He relied more on the Force than his lightsaber skills. So yeah. Palpatine, how he rose to power and became a Sith, and Luke during that time period. That's, during that time period of getting the order. That's it for me. What about you?
Oh man, that's a good question. If I had, the only thing that I really wish like I could see what something that they scrapped, and that was like the Star Wars like 1313, when they're supposed to have like the underworld of Coruscant and all that.
Yeah,
that's it. Like I would have loved to see that. That kind of ended up a lot of the concepts being in like the Mandalorian, so to speak.
Okay.
But if I could find like a character or something like for real, I wish I could have like a like, even if it's not like a series, even if it's like a one shot.
Yeah.
Of when what's that man's name?
Mace Windu, mother. Let me stop.
No. That would be cool, but no, not Mace. What's your man that went to
Sifo?
Yeah, Sifo Dyas.
Sifo Dyas, yeah.
Yeah, if I got like a one shot of Sifo Dyas and him actually going to what's some weird looking people name? Oh my god,
the Kaminoans.
Yeah. Going to Kamino and actually that whole process of why, and basically him being tricked and all of that, like, because like it's like
I just want to say real quick before you go, shout out to Tales of the Jedi if you haven't checked that out, because that did something for me, seeing how Dooku became disingenuous with the with the Jedi Order. You saw him through the years and everything, and then how he failed.
Yeah.
That was really good. I would like to see a Tales of the Sith. I would like to see a Tales of the Sith, and they could probably do a Palpatine one through that one right there.
Yeah, that would work. But like, if I could see Sifo Dyas and his whole reasoning and who told him to do that and how Palpatine, because the Clone Wars is really Palpatine's way of destabilizing the entire galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though like at some points it's hella minutia, but like other than that, he really orchestrated and played both sides rather masterfully for him to let the people let him have power. Because his point was like, I'm not going to just overtake. Like, I'm going to take it over by them telling me that they need me. You feel what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like that's the genius
I
behind
am.
She.
I am the Senate.
That's the that's the genius of She Palpatine. Like if
Hmm.
I could see that part of it, because even when I was like, watching the prequels as a young adult, I was like, why is this happening like this? You know what I'm saying? Like hold on, he's like, and then by the time Return Reggie Sip came, I was like, yo, he really just played both sides like that. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So if that one part of it is always like, what was like,
Yeah.
what was he doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's crazy. Because it's crazy that they gave him executive order, be like, well, until this war is over, we'll let him stay chancellor. That'd be like if the U.S. went to war with somebody, and they'd be like, you know what, Biden, you're gonna stay president until this war is over. We win it or we lose it. You're gonna stay president until then. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that happened.
Even during World Wars, that didn't happen.
Yeah, even during World War II, we still had elections and stuff like that to get people, you know what I'm saying, to get people in to become the president. So yeah, man. I mean, but I'm interested. We got 3 episodes, so
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, that's all we really got for this one.
yeah.
We might do this more often. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
simple. You know what I'm
Shout
saying?
out to y'all that hung around for this or whatever, man. We
Yeah,
appreciate
man. If you didn't, we're gonna definitely have this on the channel. You know what I'm saying? To throw it back up there for everybody else. But yeah, that's all we got for today. We will see you all, me and Tony, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Calrissian Kids, episode 6. I think me and Keisha gonna drop one tomorrow at
bad.
7 a.m. for Hang with the Joneses.
The
And
kids ain't got nothing to say.
nah, not right now. The kids is busy. You know what I'm saying?
I
Kids is busy. Kids is tired, So yeah.
feel
Well,
you.
I don't know. I might have Des on later. She wants to talk about Hunter x Hunter, because I watch it over the summertime,
Mhm.
and
And,
she watched it.
we still plan on doing some reviews or like even some other like
Oh
movies
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that
Oh
that people
yeah.
we've had requests for whatever, like what was it, the everything all at once, and then I suggested that we do something that I didn't realize from you was one of my favorite movies and one of yours as well, The Fifth Element.
The
So
element. Yeah. So
yeah,
we gonna go back and talk about stuff. It's just a busy season right now.
yeah,
So
man,
you
busy
know,
season here. We work, man. So
work, football,
yeah, football,
college football, marching band
band,
season. There's a lot of stuff
band,
going on. A lot of stuff going on, man. Shout out to Smart Leisure, man. Y'all looking good this year.
yes,
But
sir.
yeah, that's all we got for this one, man. See you next time.